starting off with the University of Washington football team. Just some minor things in terms of team-related news. The Huskies would find out the dates and broadcast locations of 5 different contests scattered throughout their schedule. They're not all like the first 5 or any consecutive period of time, just 5 of those games. So on September 3rd versus Kent State, the Huskies will play with a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time start on Fox Sports 1. September 10th versus Portland State is a 1 p.m. Pacific time kickoff on the Pac-12 network in the state of Washington. So if you're in Washington State, turn on Pac-12 network, you'll have the Huskies game versus Portland State. Portland State, obviously, Vijay Malo, a O'Day alum. So that'll be a fun game to see. September 17th versus Michigan State is a 4:30 p.m. start on ABC. So that'll be a big game there, taking on the Spartans. September 30th at UCLA. That is a 7:30 p.m. start on ESPN. And then November 7th versus the Oregon State Beavers is a 7:30 p.m. start on ESPN2. So cool to know when some of these things will start. Helps us out here at Circling Seattle Sports with our schedule and all of that sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, it's not too much. They're not exactly ideal to play an opponent like Kent State at 7:30. Obviously, we look back at Montana last year, so I don't want to necessarily downplay any of these opponents. But interesting to look at. Not, Portland State don't want to clock on the 10th. Playing Michigan State is a big deal already, let alone being on ABC. UCLA at 7:30. And then Oregon State there as the Huskies look for a rematch there. Playing UCLA for the first time in a little bit. So these will all be exciting games, obviously, but just interesting to see how they fall out in terms of broadcast locations as well as timing. And then on the 25th, Lincoln Keenholz included UW in his Final Four schools. He is a 6'3" quarterback from T.F. Riggs High School in South Dakota. A 3-star quarterback is also a multi-sport athlete, showing some prowess in the basketball court, is going to be taking his official visit to the University of Washington on the 23rd of June out of North. So he's got his Final Four is really interesting to me. It's North Dakota State, University of Wisconsin, University of Wyoming, and then Washington. Kind of an interesting group of schools there. Kind of funny to see the 3 of them have the W in it, but I don't know, really interesting. You don't want to scoff at any of these visits either, because you never know who can turn into what sort of player. But certainly interesting to just kind of look at the other places that he's holding in his top 4 and consider the fact that the University of Washington is in that top 4. So we'll be monitoring that as well as other sort of commitments and things like that as they continue. We're going to begin the month of June, obviously, and it'll be really interesting to see when things start to pick up. We'll obviously keep you updated on that as well as on the social medias. Like if you follow us here on Instagram, on Twitter, Circling Sports, at Circling Sports, Facebook, Circling Seattle Sports. Also making sure to go and follow us so that you can keep an eye on one of these matchup pucks. Obviously, there's more than these 2. Say I have about 9. But with that being said, this has been the June 1st edition of Woof Wednesdays. I am your host, Charles Hamaker, as always. And until we see you again next Wednesday, do whatever you can to make today a great day.